So, if you want to get more insight into Vinnie Colaiuta's playing on the song City Nights, found on Allan Holdsworth's album Secrets, stay tuned. Welcome. This video takes a look at two main approaches to Vinnie Colaiuta's playing on City Nights. The song was composed by Gary Husband and is found on Allan Holdsworth's album Secrets that was released in 1989. But first, click the red subscribe button so you're aware of every time I upload a new video. For those of you who don't know, Gary Husband is one of the very best drummers out there. He's also a phenomenal keyboard player. For example, he often plays with Billy Cobham on keyboards. He wrote City Nights in 1984, and by his own account, he said that Allan Holdsworth was really intrigued by the piece. Allan eventually decided to include this song on his album called Secrets, and Vinnie Colaiuta was going to be in the drum chair. All this was very exciting for Gary. In the end, Vinnie let Gary know that he was really thrilled with the track and his own playing on it, one of his very best. I recently saw an interview with Vinnie Colaiuta where he discussed playing to achieve flow, but without thinking. I interpret this to mean that he's trying to play without thinking of specific patterns or rhythms, but going for the sound of what he's playing from the heart. Now the thing is, you got to keep in mind, Vinnie has a massive drumming vocabulary. So his quest to achieve flow really stems on his pulling on that vocabulary in a kind of subconscious way to create the sounds and rhythms that will ultimately create that flow in his drumming. This is all a little heady, a little cerebral, but it really makes a lot of sense when you check out his playing in City Nights. However, for the purposes of this video, I broke Vinnie's playing down into 8 setup phrases that lead into recurring ensemble figures that end up on beat 2 during the head. I also take a look at the B section where he plays a magnificent run along with Allan Holdsworth. Make sure to download the PDF so you can follow along and check out what's going on. All right, let's get into it. The first setup employs a technique called post facto metric ambiguity. Now that's a mouthful. The translation to that is deceptive downbeats. When we hear music, the very first note of a piece will seem like it's the downbeat or the beat 1, but it might really be starting anywhere in the first bar or even in the previous bar to the beginning of the piece. In this case, it is starting on the bass drum, and it's the last 2 30-second notes being used as the pickup. And on top of that, the piece has a recurring theme of the ensemble shots on the second and last 16th notes of beat 2. And that goes throughout the A section and the A prime section of the head. That will put us off balance for sure. So this is how it sounds. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And slower. 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Pretty cool. Of course, when I count it out slowly, it makes a lot of sense. But I'll never forget the first time I heard that, I was like, okay, rewind, because I had a Walkman. Rewind, rewind, what's going on? What's going on? Yeah, this song has sort of plagued me technically over the decades. Now I kind of figured out how it works and was able to play it a little bit. So the next one is a lot more straightforward. Keep in mind that this is all happening in the context of a groove. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And slow. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4. Okay, the third setup. This one I found kind of tricky. It's kind of paradiddle-like, or almost double paradiddle-like sticking. It's not exactly, but it gets the hands moving, and it actually has a nice flow to it. And it goes like this. 1, 2, 3. And slower. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and On this one, this fourth setup, I feel like it's a lot more groove oriented in a sense. Moving fast, but still setting up beat 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And slower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the fifth setup fill is a little tricky. He plays around with 16th note triplets here, and the fact that he goes between a duple feel and a triplet feel very quickly really teases the ear and kind of confuses what you think you hear at full speed. When you slow down the segment, you can see that really it's just him playing around with 16th note triplets. Here, check out the transcription on this one to see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And slow. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and triplet, 1 triplet and triplet, 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and The last three examples, starting with the letter F, or the sixth example, sort of do away with the groove component that existed before. These events are sort of soloistic, and they run into each other. All right, so here's letter F. 1, 2, 1, 2. And slow. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and Now that runs right into the seventh example, or letter G. 1, 2, 1, 2. And slow. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and I especially like this last setup because it's almost like he's speeding up the rate of his notes by playing 16th notes, then 16th note triplets, and he finally squeezes in 2 32nd notes right before the actual figure. So it sounds like it's sort of like taking off in a sense. Goes like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. And slower. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 triplet and triplet 1 triplet and triplet 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. In this last section, I call this the B section of the head, and Allan Holdsworth takes off sort of on a major 30-second note riffing rant of sorts. And it obviously inspired me to do something similar on drums at the same time. So they didn't just break into a groove, all the while heading to an ensemble figure on beat 3, which is a dotted 8/16th note figure. And this is sort of how Vinnie interprets that. Again, keeping this flow going. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. If you do it slower, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Pretty slick. Well, there you have it. An analysis of Gary Husband's City Nights is found on Allan Holdsworth's record Secrets, and the drum part being played by none other than Vinnie Colaiuta. Like I said before, this was arguably one of Vinnie's best performances. At least that's what he felt at the time. And I figured that it'd be easier to understand each of the elements if we thought of them as setups leading towards each of those ensemble figures. Of course, we don't really think like that while we're playing. We want to try to create a flow and express ourselves with whatever vocabulary we have at our disposal at a given time, so the thing feels more improvised. Vinnie does this at an extremely high level. You can tell how much he has under his belt. He's not really thinking of these setups one at a time. I think he's honestly just playing and trying to keep a flow. All right. So if you like this video, please like it and share it. You can reach me at aubreydrumlessons.com to schedule Zoom lessons that I still do online. Also, you can reach out to me via Instagram. Otherwise, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching my video. I'm really glad you did that. Subscribe and click here if you want more performance and lesson videos.